What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to another late night in the Brew Lab. We're continuing with our spoiler content. And same as it has been almost every other night. And, I often mention the ungodly hours at which I am still doing these things. At most nights, I'm doing my last refresh of mythicspoiler.com at around 4 a.m. on GMT +2, where the time zone that I'm in. And, when I think that it's all the cards that could have been spoiled that day, then I come back the following morning and a bunch more have come. And I think it's because of the time zones, because they put the names here underneath who spoiled the card. It's all the various content creators. Cedric Phillips, blah, blah, blah. And they must be in time zones where then like it's even after when I go to bed, but they still go on their channel and upload it, and that then Mythic Spoiler can even figure out what card that is and put it in here and blah blah blah, blah. So clearly it's a thing that will continue happening, but in this time it was a lot. Like yesterday we got to Cloaked Cadet and we didn't see any of this stuff, so lots to talk about today, because then of course there's also all of today's stuff, November 1st. So plenty to talk about. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into it. It's the first time I'm seeing a lot of these myself. So welcome to the Brew Lab. Let's talk sweet new cards. First up, Groom's Finery. An artifact equipment, 2 mana. 1 and a black. Equipped creature, so equipped creature gets +2/+0 and it gets an additional +0/+2 and has death touch as long as an equipment named Bride's Gown is equipped attached to a creature you control. Cool. So it's kind of like all the stuff, the clothes of the groom and the bride, and then if you assemble each piece, it gives you like better stats. It'll be interesting to see what the Bride's Gown gives you if you have it equipped alongside Groom's Finery, and whether there's a third one, sort of assemble the vampire. Interesting. It'll be fun to see where that ends up, but probably mostly just like a drafty thing. Next up, a Mythic. And now that I see it, sorry, I'm going to stop zooming in. Unless it's in a different language, I'm not going to leave this page. There was another Prowler. Oh no, another Cemetery something. Here we go, Cemetery Protector. So it appears as if there's a cycle of these things. We haven't seen any of the other ones yet, but I've heard from the interwebs and rumor mill that there's a cycle of these things about the cemetery. This is the green one. And it's 1 colorless, 2 green for a wolf. Relevant. 3/4 with vigilance. Although the 3-drop slot is very clogged on the wolf deck. When it ETBs, you exile a card from a graveyard. So it's the same thing that happens with the other Cemetery Protector. And then spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card type they share with the card exiled with Cemetery Prowler. Okay. So, plenty of things you can do with that. Like, when I'm just doing these, like, hot takes, it's almost the first time I'm seeing any of these. I can't go too deep, otherwise we'll be here for hours, but Cemetery Prowler, like, and it's same as the other one, like, it kind of depends what it is that you're exiling from the graveyard. And of course, don't forget that it's every time you attack, you're exiling another thing. So you can have multiple card types that you've exiled with Cemetery Prowler, and that will reduce the casting cost of many different types of spells. So, it can get pretty good. You can exile multiple ones and have, the same type, and reduce for each type they share with cards exiled. Anyway, there's plenty that I can already see that these are going to be interesting. I don't know if they'll be like super duper playable and competitive, but like there's going to be some crazy like janky build-arounds, and I can't wait to try them out. Next up, Lantern Flare. This is one I actually had I did catch on Facebook at some point today. This one looks really cool. I like the cleave on this, and I like that it goes in the Boros deck, which is one of my favorite color combos. So it's either 2 mana, 1 and a white for Deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control. So you have a wide board, kind of like Sajiri. No, what was it? There's a couple of cards in white now that do this thing, where like it deals more and more damage to the target creature based on how many creatures you have on the board. So it like rewards you for going wide. This is the same. If you have a really wide board, you can do X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life, which is huge. If you've got 5 guys on the battlefield, you can do 5 damage to Goldspan Dragon and gain 5 life. But if you can cast it for its cleave cost, suddenly the X becomes part of the cost. So it depends how much mana you spend into it. And then you just remove the stuff in the brackets, and it says, deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. And it's not about the number of creatures you control, it's about how much mana you pump into it. I don't know, I kind of just prefer the default setting. But I like it that it's versatile. Like that. So really, really nice one of these cleave cards. So far, most of them have been freaking amazing. So Lantern Flare. Next up. This is a sweet one. Unfortunately, it reminds me a lot of this, I think it was called like Visions of Littjara, from the Zendikar Rising, where whenever you cast a spell of a certain creature type that you named previously, it would like double it, or create a copy of a token that's a copy. The difference with that one and this one is quite significant though. Well, first of all, this only works with zombies, so if you wanted it to work with all creatures, you would have to couple it with something like Nexus of Fate, which just ends up making it way too clunky of a combo. But if you're playing it in your zombie deck where it's intended to be played, this triggers when the thing enters the battlefield under your control. It doesn't say when it's cast, so you can reanimate stuff back to the battlefield. It would still trigger. You can cheat things into the battlefield with all the ways that you can do so, and it would still trigger. So the only thing obviously is it's non-tokens, otherwise it would get ridiculous with the Decayed guys. But and it's 1 mana less than the Vision of Littjara to cast. So I think in a zombie deck, like a 2 of this could get really crazy really quickly. Like I can imagine like casting your Champion of the Perished. It makes 2 of them. So then, because they enter the battlefield, one of them will trigger on the other one, and the other one will trigger on the other one, sort of thing. And then the following turn, you could cast like freaking anything, like another zombie, and it could spiral out of control really, really quickly. So Necroduality. Whenever a non-token zombie enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. I think gonna be really good. The zombie deck's looking sweet. Cannot wait to play with these new cards. Here we got a modal dual-faced card, a transformer, looking like a werewolf. So let's jump in and see. Howlpax Piper, Daybound, creature human werewolf. This spell can't be counted. 4 drops, 3 colorless and a green. You can pay 1 and a green, tap it, and you may put a creature card from your hand to the battlefield. Untap Howlpax Piper. It's a wolf or werewolf. Activate only as a sorcery. I'm assuming that's slightly badly translated. But if it's a wolf or a werewolf, I'm assuming, then untap it. That's really powerful, man. 1 and a green is not too much. And you can just bring a creature card from your hand to the battlefield, any creature card. But then if it is a wolf or werewolf, you can untap it. You still get to block. And I'm assuming the backside, okay. Then at nighttime, it becomes the Wild Tune Howler. And whenever this card enters the battlefield or transforms into Wild Tune Howler, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from them and put it into your hand. Put the rest. Pretty nice. I kind of prefer the freaking Dayside, though. I like that it has, that can't be counted. That might be pretty relevant on turn 4 when you'll be slamming this on the board. Maybe a 1 or a 2 of, in a werewolf deck. Starting to get a lot of werewolves now. It's going to be like now at the, whereas with just Midnight Hunt, there was relatively few, so the deck just sort of built itself. There weren't so many options. Now there's going to be options in every slot on the curve, and it's going to be tough to pick and choose. But this one might deserve a couple of, even though it's on the same one on the curve as Arlen and the Pax Hunt, etc. Next up. Yeah, I thought it was a dual-sided one, but no. It's 2 cards that were spoiled in Japan. So Resistance Squad. Creature, human, soldier. 2 colorless and a white. And at ETBs, if you control another human, draw a card. Man, it's like the most contested spot in white ever. This will see 0 play in standard, definitely just for draft. And I think much can be said about this one as well. The 3-drop in white, that's a sorcery. Until the end of turn, target creature gets +3/+3, and up to one other target creature gets +2/+2, and up to one other target creature gets +1/+1. They all gain vigilance until the end of turn. That's really, really nice, actually. Just not entirely sure in which deck it would go. Like something that's just so completely different from the current mono white, which I've been trying like crazy to brew, and there's some that are pretty good. It's just not as good as the current mono white, but there's some sweet stuff going on in white that isn't just the typical game plan. You can sort of feel where the shift is going. I like it. I kind of like it. So fingers crossed. Like maybe that 3-drop slot will be less clogged with important creatures, and will become a more weenie deck with a 3-drop slots, more sort of interaction spells like this. Or yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's always like kind of my favorite part about Magic, really, is following the evolution of the meta. I just find it phenomenal how they just can keep printing new cards, and it's just like always involving and engaging and evolving. Amazing. Last one from yesterday's: Radiant Grace and Radiant Restrictions. Another one of these disturbed cards. No, is it a disturbed card? Okay, no. Okay, because okay, this one is. I've actually read this one. This is a really good one. I really like this one. So it's an enchantment aura. Your creature gets +1/+0 and has vigilance. But then when it dies, you return it to the battlefield transformed, and it becomes a curse. When it comes, as soon as an ETB is transformed, it comes into the battlefield as a curse, and then you attach it to a player, and then that creatures enchanted player controls enter the battlefield tapped. I think that's actually really, really potent. Like really, really strong. It's like a really cheap enchantment, which is going to be relevant in that deck. You get to put it on, I think, a tempo deck, man. You just put this on, then one of your 1 or 2 drops, and give it vigilance and +1/+0. And that makes it annoying enough that the opponent has to remove it. As soon as he does, boom, he gets an aura in his face that makes it that the rest of his creatures come into play tapped for the rest of the game, unless he's got enchantment removal. I think that's really, 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 really good in like that Azorius tempo. Make sure you stall the opponent. You're gonna keep on getting into damage. All of his stuff's gonna come into play tapped. That's so good. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So that's yesterday's stuff done. Today's stuff. Another buttload of cards to get through. So let's do this quickly. Lots of Japanese stuff. Nice. I guess it's Japanese. It could be other Asian languages. This one really does look like Japanese though. Magma Pamela. X and 2 red for an elemental. When it ETBs, so it ETBs with X +1/+1 counters on it. Okay, so it's your mana sink. If damage would be dealt to Magma Pamela while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, you prevent that damage and remove that many plus. Okay. When one or more counters are removed this way, Magma Pamela deals that much damage to any target. That is super duper cool. This reminds me of the. Oh my goodness, what was it called? Yeah, luckily for me, I've got my client open right here. You guys cannot see. It was a Golgari guy with escape. You know the one I mean. And it would. Polukranos Unchained. This kind of reminds me of Polukranos. in a good way. That's going to be a fun card to play with. You know what I mean. You know the card I mean. This one you can pump plenty, like late game. You top deck this thing. You put like 10 mana into it. Comes and plays an 8/8, and then it just like takes all the damage and throws it back in their face. I like it. It's a nice little uncommon there. Be interesting to see if it ends up in any deck, but I like the design. Next up, so now this does not. Maybe it is still Japanese. Ollenbock Escort, human monk, another monk. 1 white mana for a vigilance 1/1, but you can sack it without paying anything. Target creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn. Ah. Interesting. Kind of like a little selfless savior type of action going on there. I kind of like that. I wonder if that'll see any play at all. Maybe somewhere in the, forming up monk deck with my favorite white planeswalker, the Grandmaster of Flowers, and the Monk of the Open Hand, and the other guy that gives the Dragon's Ward, the Monk of the Dragon something, and then this guy. It could be cool. Interesting. I like that effect. Just leave it on the battlefield. You can sack it at any point for free and give something indestructibility lifelink. But it has to be something that has a +1/+1 counter on it already. That's easy enough to do. Another curse. I like that the curses are continuing. This is really good news because now we've got. It looks like we'll have at least 2 of every color except for green, because there wasn't a green curse in the other set in Midnight Hunt. Interesting to see if we get one in this one, but I doubt it. But this is the second curse. So first one here, boom. Next up, Curse of Hospitality. Enchant player. Creatures attacking enchanted player have trample. What? That's epic. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to enchanted player, that player exiles the top card of their library. Until end of turn, that creature's controller may play that card, and they may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. Woo! Whenever a creature deals combat damage to an enchanted player, so your creatures are doing damage to him because he's the one that's been enchanted. So we deal damage to him. He exiles cards off the top of his library until end of turn. That player, okay, so could be good, could be bad. Kind of like one of those downsides that you're not sure of. Like, if it's a good card that, they top deck, which can, like, answer one of your threats, like a removal spell or something, then that's pretty annoying. But if it's something that they can't cast, yeah, it's not may exile the top card of the library. It is exiled. So then they just won't be able to cast it, and they'll have to, that card is gone. Like, something that they don't have the mana for. So that's pretty cool. To give all your attackers trample is pretty cool. Interesting to see where that ends up. Next up, beg your pardon, Laid to Rest. Yeah. Right. Yeah. 4 mana, 3 colorless, 1 green for a uncommon enchantment. When a human you control dies, draw a card. Whenever. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, you gain 2 life. Wow, guys, Selesnya counters, please be good again. It's been years since it's been a good deck in Standard with Selesnya counters. I really hope that this is like slowly. I've been seeing some stuff already getting spoiled. They're pushing it a little bit. Hopefully, it's even just like a tier 2 or tier 3, something that gets the odd win. It's one of my favorite play styles, and I hope it makes a nice comeback. Sorry, just before I continue, I have to I keep coming back to it. There's this card, which goes in that deck, which is freaking amazing. And then there's, where was it? This one. Boom. Finisher. Turn 6. Slam this thing on the board. All your things with +1/+1 become angels with 4/4, blah, blah, blah. Plus this thing that I just touched upon, Laid to Rest, and oh my goodness. You know, Luminarch Aspirant, of course. Next up, Scattered Thoughts. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 2 of those cards into your hand and the rest into your graveyard for 4 mana at instant speed. Better cards to do that. You know, just play Memory Deluge or something. No, unless you want those cards in your graveyard specifically. Memory Deluge is just a better 4 mana draw 2 spell. Next up. Wow, this looks sick. Syncopate. An X and a blue. That's interesting. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting. That is a powerful counter spell. This is like wow good. I really like this. Just dump into it however much you need to make it so that the opponent cannot pay X and then you've countered anything. And it's only 1 blue at the baseline. So I really, really like that. That's going to take over from Jwari. Even though it's an MDFC, I think. I mean, it's better than Jwari. It's going to be really good in like a lot of annoying control decks. I'm pretty sure we're going to see that, seeing some play. Next up, we've got a Braid. Okay, so cool. They're doing a cycle of these, it seems like, where there's these modal, like an instant that has 2 options that costs 2 mana. There was a white one called Fateful something from yesterday, which is going to be one of my favorite cards of the set. What's it called? Blah, 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 blah. There, Valorous Stance. White, you know, not a dual one like they did before with Ripperpod and Drown in the Loch and on and on and on. Now they're like all white. 2 options, 2 mana, instant speed. This one was really, really good. And this one here also looks kind of freaking amazing. It's either 3 damage to target creature or destroy target artifact. Nice. Pretty sideboard. Next up, Retrieve. 3 mana, green card. It's probably like Bardigan Recovery. They always print one of these in every set. Return up to 1 target creature card and up to 1. Okay, so it's 2 things. 1 target creature card and up to 1 target non-creature permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. You're getting 2 things back. And then you exile it for 3. Same cost as Bardigan Recovery, same cost as you come into a glade or whatever. There's like 3 of these cards right now in standard. This will be the 4th one. This one's a bit better. You get 2 things. So essentially a creature and a land or something. Next up, Diver Scab. So whenever I see Scab, I'm like, oh, zombie. It's interesting how they're doing this zombie and sea creatures little. See from the art there, he's like zombie's about to jump into the ocean. So it's got exploit. It's a 5 mana 3/5. When it exploits, target creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Okay, so you exploit something that you want to put back on the top of your library for some reason. Okay, or bottom. I don't know. That's weird. I will have to see what other. I mean, I'm thinking of the guy, you know, the zombie that does the stuff with the krakens and the serpents. This guy, Geralf. No, not Geralf. This guy, Runo Crossus. You know, you put the thing back on the top of the library with and then when it attacks, you know, it's a way to easily flip Runo. We'll have to see what else of this sort of weird zombie sea creature crossover thing we get before I have anything more to say about this card. Next up, Vampire, finally, and something with little stars in the. That's always interesting. So it's a Bloodsworn Squire on the front side. 4 mana, 3 in the black for 3/3. You can pay 1 and a black and discard a card without tapping it. Bloodsworn Squire gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. Then, if there are 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, transform Bloodsworn Squire. Okay, so discard a card. Gains indestructible. Tap it. If there are 4 more creatures in your graveyard, you transform. You probably just put that last creature by doing the discard to give it indestructibility. You put that last creature you need in the graveyard for it to become, transformable. It transforms into the knight. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard. Oh, it's really sweet flavor. I don't know if it'll see much play in the vampire deck. There might be better things in the 4-drop slot, but like flavor-wise and that's a sweet card. That's really well designed. And then you can just keep doing the thing. Discard a card, same thing as it did before it was transformed. Misa like a lot. Next up, House of Haunted Dolls. 5-mana artifact. You can pay 1 and tap it. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Create a copy of the exiled card. But it's a 0/0 artifact construct creature token in addition to its other types. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. That creature gains haste until end of turn. Activate only when you can cast a sorcery. Sweet. Colorless decks getting a little bit of sweet support. I think that's really, really good. There's some good artifacts already, and it's been a few sets where it's just felt like they haven't been getting much support at all. But the what's it called? The monument something. Where is it? Forsaken Monument. Colorless creatures you control get +2/+2 whenever you tap it. Man, this is gonna be sick with Litherform Engine, deck of many things. Ooh, I'm feeling this guy. Gotta put some creatures in the graveyard. That's gonna be fine. There's some good like 1, 2, 3 drops, 4 drops even, and then eventually start exiling them. And every time they hit the battlefield, it'll trigger other things, and they'll get bigger because of the Forsaken Monument. Ooh. Keep your eyes peeled on the on the channel if you want to see janky colorless build coming soon, as soon as the set drops. Next up, Wedding Security, a 5-drop vampire soldier, 3 colorless, 2 black, a 4/4. When it attacks, you may sacrifice a blood token. If you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. Probably will see quite a lot of play in Limited. Like, people will probably be snagging these up if Vampires is a good tribe in Limited. I'm definitely going to play Draft on day 1 with my free tokens and stuff. It'll be interesting to see where this ends up. It's a cool little way to draw cards and grow your card. But it's really expensive. And you have to wait till the next turn before it starts getting any value. It just sits there and just probably gets removed. Next up, Sigarda's Imprisonment. An aura. Enchanted creature. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. So it's kind of like pacifism, but it costs 1 more. Why does it cost 1 more? Because it's got more text. You pay 5, 4 colorless and a white, and you can exile an enchanted creature. Create a blood token. Probably rather just play the Coven one, no? Depends what deck you're playing this in, but it's weird that you want to be making blood tokens in a white deck. That's why I'm thinking more and more like there will be some sort of Mardu vampires going on. By the way, I've just finished recording and uploading a deck tech, my first in a little while, a little break. One I'm calling Scalding Vamps. Go check it out. It's the video before this one. It's really, really sweet. I'm sort of foreseeing this Mardu Vamps deck, and so I just got ahead of the game and started figuring some stuff out. But this could be something that ends up in there, because it makes blood tokens. Next up, a rare vampire 3-drop. Falconwrath Forebear. This one looks sweet. I haven't read it yet. Flying 3/1. Can't block. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you create a blood token. Oh, this is sweet. Oh, I was just talking about in the deck video that I just made about what might replace the scavenger in the 3-drop slot as the death touchy, lifelinky guy. And I still don't know if this will, but it might. Sacrifice 2 blood tokens, return it to graveyard to the battlefield. And it's untapped, and you can do it at instant speed. So, I mean, even you just keep attacking, keep attacking. If they remove it, boom, you just sacrifice 2 blood tokens, pay 1, bring it back to the battlefield. Boom, 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 boom. Just recursive flying 3-1. I think that's really, really good. I akin it to the flaming skull thing from Mono Red from, I think it was Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Similar kind of thing. 3-1, can't block, keeps coming back. I like it. And, you know, there's cards that we've already seen that, you know, for which blood tokens are very important. So this is kind of like a little blood token factory. Really, really nice. I think this is going to see a lot of play. I can't wait to figure out how it fits in. Next up. I think I've seen this one already. Woo! Oh. Okay. Okay. Oh, can't read that one. Oh, is it the backside of this? Yes. Aha! Okay, yes. Mischievous Geist, cat-like curiosity. Whenever Mischievous Geist deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Pretty sweet. And then it comes back disturbed as an aura. Okay, so it's one of these disturbed cards. Sweet. What card? Okay, that's pretty nice. And then if you kill it, you just keep attacking. On turn 3, you're attacking. If they haven't, if you know you're playing a not creature deck, you're just drawing cards off it, and it's not like draw and then discard, which is really, really nice. And then at some point they'll just kill it, and then you can disturb it for what's the disturb cost here? 3, 2 and a blue. Charming creature deals combat damage, draw a card. So it just gives its ability to the thing. This is becoming the theme. It's starting with a pattern is developing here. It's kind of the way it's been for a lot of these disturbed cards, almost all of them, I think, except for one. Wow, another mythic. Cultivated Colossus, a plant beast in green. 7 mana, 4 colorless, and 3 green for a trampler that has stars in its, you know, power and toughness. And its power and toughness is each equal to the number of lands you control. This was a Seeker's Chariot. Hello. When Cultivated Colossus enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. So if you've, wow, that is nutso. Like a 2-of in the deck that's also probably running like this thing. You've maybe gotten it to the point where everything gets trampled and haste. And then you slam this guy. And you've got a bunch of lands in your hand from +1ing your Ren. And you just like play a land, draw a card. Play a land, draw a card. Play a land, draw a card until all your lands are played. And this thing just gets huge and it's got haste and trample. It's already got trample. And I don't think we're going to be able to let Mono Green go very far into the game in the coming format. This and others that I've been seeing that are cheaper, trampoline guys that are good on curve threats, coupled with unnatural growth, is just going to be like, wow, hard to deal with, I think. They're just missing something like a Cultivate to just like really speed up that ramp a little bit more in Mono Green without doing the usual stuff that they've been. It's been a lot more like Treasures with the Citizen, you know, the Halfling, or what's it, and the Innkeeper, and then there's been like a little bit of mana fixing with Jaspera Sentinel. Mono Green Rampy hasn't been like as good as the days when we had Cultivate, in my opinion. So if something like that comes back, then like a Mono Green that isn't just what we've been seeing lately, which is more aggro-y, but something a bit more mid-rangey where you just build up to this point where you have these massive green creatures, typical old-school mono-green play style, and then you just slam a unnatural growth and get these huge tramplers. I kind of nostalgically prefer that play style with mono-green, so I'm hoping it ends up back there. I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially you, Moonwatcher. I know you're an avid mono-green player, if you're watching this. Next up, Whispering Wizard, a 4 mana, 3 and a blue. For a human wizard, 3/2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. This ability triggers only once each turn. Probably draft chaff. Here we have another one of these spirits with disturbed. It's gonna be fun deck. It's a nice little 1-drop. So it's a 1-drop flyer spirit. That's it. Then you can cast it with disturbed. Cost comes back as Lantern's Lift as an aura. An enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying. That's pretty cool. That's pretty sweet. That's a sweet little 1-drop. I wonder if it'll make the cut. Ooh, the blue rare cleave card. This is gonna be crazy. So 3 mana for a sorcery that you can draw 3 cards. Your maximum hand size is reduced by 3 for the rest of the game. Okay, that's pretty horrible. Obviously. That would be reduced to 4. If you do cast it for 5, you just draw 3 cards for 5 mana. That's pretty good. I wonder. That's pretty good. I wonder where... Like, really that bad to go down to 4 maximum hand size? In some decks might be good, actually. Trying to think where. Like, maybe something like Imrith, Desert Doom. Or these Chandra decks where you, like, discard your whole... You know, what's the Regent, Westvale Dragon guy, Regent guy, where you just, like, empty your... discard your hand, draw a card. You're always just playing from an empty hand, and then every time you cast something, you're drawing something. That might be okay. And then you just draw 3 cards for 3 mana. Not bad. Nah, interesting. Next up, a 3-drop human warrior in green. Hamlet Vanguard. Ward 2. So it's just pay 2. Ward 2. Hamlet enters the battlefield with 2 counters on it for each other non-token human you control. What? Okay, wow. So you get 2 +1/+1 counters on it for each other non-token human you control. This can enter the battlefield huge with certain board states. That is going to be a really fun card to play. Nice. Nice. Nisa likey. And a little bit of protection on there. Next up, Clever Distraction. Enchantment Aura. Whenever enchanted creature has, whenever this creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Cool. Kind of like, oh, so it's the backside of a thing. Sorry. Yeah, but that's kind of like the ability from the, what's his name? Icing Death, Frost Fang. When it dies, it makes that little equipment. And then whenever a creature attacks, you tap target defending creature. Pretty cool. So it's on the it's the back side, or it's the disturbed side of the distracting Geist. Whenever it attacks, same pattern. So the same ability as the creature goes onto the aura. This one's a little bit weak and a little bit too expensive, but it is a pretty good ability. Maybe, like the way I'm seeing this disturb the spirit thing building up as this sort of like, you end up putting a lot of like 1 and 2 of these auras and just put them, discard them into your graveyard with, there's so many ways to do that already with the disturbed cards from Midnight Hunt. I'm trying to think of the flashback card that's in Azorius that you discard 2, draw 2, and the Graph Keeper mills 3 of your cards. So you're milling things that have disturbed, discarding things that have disturbed, and then you eventually have this array of sweet auras there that you can cast that all do really good things, but you don't want to have like 4 of many of them. It just like ends up being too much on your 3-drop slot for a thing that you might not really need. But the ability to tap down a defending opponent's card every time you attack is pretty good. Might see a little bit of play. Next up, dude, this is the first time I've seen this. I started scanning the card from the bottom up. Okay, we've got a green One drop rare wolf. Is this going to be good? Is this the one we've all been waiting for? Ascendant pack leaders enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter if you control permanent with mana value 4 or greater. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on Ascendant pack leader. Yup, that's a good one. That's a good one. Finally, the werewolf deck got a nice, sweet ass one drop. I cannot wait to put this in there. There's lots of power, things with mana value. Permanent with mana value 4 greater. So even your Arlen and blah, yada, yada, yada. Oh, I've got so many good ideas for werewolf deck now. Like, it's getting a huge boost as well. Even though vampires are the pushed ones, vampires ended up being pretty good in Midnight Hunt. Now they're going to get super good. Werewolves were really good in Midnight Hunt. Now they're going to get like a boost. It's kind of back to front. And the card I was scrolling down for was this one, the Volatile Arsonist. That, and man, there's some good new wolves. And finally, we got the one drop. This is a really sweet one drop. Just the 2/1 for 1 is great as it comes in. And then it can grow later when you play things that have mana value 4 greater. So it's not like that you've wasted the chance for it to grow if you cast it when you don't have a thing that's mana value 4 or more on the battlefield, because it can just grow later. Or if you cast it in the late game when you've already got some stuff that's 4 or greater on the field, then it will not only come into play as a 3/2 for 1, which is insane. It'll also grow every turn whenever you cast other stuff on top of it. So really, really sweet. Finally, it'll be interesting to see if we get a red one. A red one drop wolf that's good, like a rare or a mythic. Then it'll be interesting to see which will make the cut. Enough about Ascendant pack leader. As you can tell, I'm highly hyped on this card. Next up, we've got Despertar de Edgar. Okay. This is when she proposed to him. This is the guy she's marrying, Olivia. Edgar's Awakening. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Whenever you discard Edgar's Awakening, you may pay 1 black. If you do, return target creature card from the graveyard to your hand. Wow. Maybe you discard. Yes, in the early game, you don't have enough mana to do it. You just discard it and return a creature. And then in the late game, you've got 5. It's a pretty expensive reanimation spell. Usually they cost about 4. But it's got a slight little bit of an upside from, let's say, a Raise from the Dead or whatever. There's a few 4-drop ones now that do it. Just bring a thing back to the battlefield, and they usually cost 4 mana. So a little bit overpriced. But it does have this weird little upside where, if you discard it, you can return a creature to your hand for 1. All right, we're at the end. That last refresh didn't reveal anything new. There's probably going to be more tomorrow morning, as usual, when I wake up. So I'll just bring it to you tomorrow, as I've been doing. Patchwork Crawler, Zombie Horror, 2-drop in blue color. Zombie Horror, rare. 2-drop slot is getting very, very contested in the zombie deck. You pay 3 mana without tapping and exile target creature card from your graveyard, and you put a +1/+1 counter on Patchwork Crawler. Patchwork Crawler has all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with it. Wow. Wow, that's such cool flavor. I just can't tell now what I'm going to do with it. I guess it gains flying, death touch. There's plenty of things. Wow, that's cool. That's so cool. I just don't know how it's going to end up playing, if it will see any major play. It just seems really janky, but that's super cool. Just keep exiling stuff and give it all the and it grows bigger every time you do the thing. Oh, it's cool. I like that. Patchwork Crawler. Real nice last card for the day. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon. We'd like to be notified of future daily uploads. I will see you all tomorrow with continued spoiler content, as well as hopefully, if I have come up with a good one. In this point, as I've already said a few times, I'm kind of a little bit burnt out and running out of ideas. That's why there's been a little bit less deck videos. I'm waiting for the new cards to come. So if I don't see you with some fresh brews, I'll definitely see you with some fresh spoiler content. So until then, this is Lone Fox from the Brew Lab, signing out. Peace, y'all.